Hello, I'm Dee Fanchi, Head of Sixth Form at John Collett School, and thank you for joining me, albeit in a virtual way, for this Parents Information presentation. The idea of this presentation is to support Year 12 parents with helping your sons and daughters at home as they navigate their way through their A-level and BTEC courses. Having been out of school for some time, obviously our focus this term is to get them back into good habits, and we believe that parents and carers can play a role in that as well. We know that they are transitioning into being young adults, and we're trying to balance that idea of much more independence, but we do know that they still need a nudge from time to time. So as parents and carers, it's really helpful if you are aware of the things that are going on for them in Year 12 and you're able to support that process at home. There is an opportunity at the end of this presentation for you to post questions, and of course, as always, you are very welcome to contact the school either by phone or email to talk to your child's form tutor or to one of the sixth form team. I hope you find the presentation interesting and helpful. And as I say, if there are any questions at the end, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us.
Here you see what it is all about. Here are the smiling faces of our Year 13 leavers in the summer, going off to universities and in some cases apprenticeships and employment. Our motivating force in Year 12 and 13 is to make sure that we're providing students with the information to choose their next steps. And we know we've done our job when they're able to go off and do exactly what they want to do. You can pause the slide here to read some of the comments from Year 13 leavers, both students and parents, talking about the support they have been given when those young people are making their decisions. It is important that parents and carers are fully involved in this, not least because you might be driving back and forth to universities with your sons and daughters, but also because if they are able to discuss their options at home, we do find that they have a much better idea of what's suitable for them. Here are images of the Year 11s on their results day, and many of the students in the frames here have joined us in the sixth form, which is fantastic. We are acutely aware that Year 11 have had a disrupted experience and have been out of the classroom for a little while now, and our focus this half term has very much been on supporting them to get back into school and rebuilding those good study habits that we know they demonstrated throughout the lower school. It's been so fantastic to see them approach their start of Year 12 with such enthusiasm, and I'm certain that that will continue throughout the rest of this year. Of course, the exam season looked very, very different in 2020, and you can see here the exam results both from 2018 and 2019, and then in red, the centre assessed grades which were produced by the school in lieu of the external exams being cancelled. In 2019, a pass rate of 98.6 was achieved, which was excellent. And obviously we will be supporting all the Year 12s and the Year 13s as well next year when they become the upper sixth in achieving the very best that they can. Although I've talked about students going off to university, of course there are plenty of different routes for students at the moment, and we equally support students who are interested in apprenticeships or employment, or indeed some other routes as well, training programmes and potentially travel. We are lucky in the sixth form team to have Mrs. Sinacor in her role as careers coordinator, who is able to meet very early on with the students to start to formulate ideas about where they might want to go once they leave Year 13. Apprenticeships are growing ever more common, and at John Collett School we do enlist external agencies to come and support our young people with looking at possible apprenticeship routes. The application process can be quite different for these, and different companies require different entrance tests and interviews and things. So we do enlist the support of other agencies to support our students with that route. In my experience, students who have a goal, it can be very motivating for them, so they have something tangible to work towards, even if that goal changes throughout Year 12 and into Year 13, which it may well do. Knowing what they're turning up every day for and why they're working so hard can be very inspirational. So just before we get into some of the information that I'm hoping to share with you in this presentation in order to help you support your child, it's just worth reminding you of our two central aims as a school. If you are a parent or carer of a student who was with us in Year 11, you will already be familiar with these, but for our parents who are joining us from other schools, welcome. We are very focused obviously on academic development. That's why students come to school. We want quality first teaching and excellent results. But we also understand that in a very changing global economy, it's important that students are also able to develop their characters. This is nowhere more important really than in the sixth form, because students of post-16 age actually have far greater opportunity to get involved in leadership roles and take on new challenges. So we do build this in right through from year 7 when students enter the school, but the sixth form role character development is much more developed as well. I'll be talking a little bit later about the ways in which the sixth form specifically supports the character development of our students. The aim of the presentation is to cover a few of the things that sometimes cause some confusion with parents and carers. It's very hard as a parent or carer when your child is coming home and saying that it's okay to be at home because they don't have a timetabled lesson, and you perhaps are not clear on whether that is indeed the case. And I think clarity around attendance and study periods, enrichment, should help you feel a little bit more in the loop. It does also give Year 12s less wiggle room between home and school. We are all trying to strike a balance, aren't we, between students who are becoming more independent, they're getting to be young adults, but also making sure that they make the most of what is actually a very short time on their post-16 courses. I also hope that by providing this information, it will enable you at home to ask the right questions so that you can have meaningful discussions with your son or daughter about their experience in sixth form. Each half term, the sixth form produces a newsletter which will also go over some of these things as they become more relevant throughout the year. Again, parents who are familiar with the school will know that we have just 3 main rules that run through everything that we do in terms of teaching and learning and student conduct. We ask students to be ready, respectful and responsible. They are our 3 R's. Staff and students are expected to meet the standards of being ready, respectful and responsible in all aspects of our work and study. And this is how excellence is achieved. The sixth form have an important role to play in this. For their own personal performance, they should aspire to always be ready for learning, ready to help others and ready to try something new. They must be role models and model respect for themselves and others at all times. The sixth form responsibilities are set out in the sixth form contract, which you have signed at the start of term and which was signed by your son or daughter. Students are responsible not just for their own learning, conduct and appearance and outcomes, but for the conduct of others that they may see falling short. The sixth form should be leading the way in helping model exemplary conduct for the rest of the school and therefore the whole community. This is why we do continue to hold students to account in Year 12 for their attendance, equipment, dress code and quality of work, and we explain to them that in the world of work that they will be held to account over those things as well. Attending the sixth form is a choice that our students have made, and therefore they have chosen to sign up to these 3 rules and to sign the contract, and very rarely do we have any issues where we need to get in contact with parents and carers if their conduct has fallen short, but please be assured that we would do that if we felt there was a need to. So we turn our attention now just to some daily matters. Punctuality and attendance are still important post-16 as they are when students are lower down the school. It is important that students are in school on time so that they don't miss our assemblies or form time, and some students in Year 12 will be taking on peer mentoring responsibilities, and students will be counting on them being there. We report lesson attendance per subject on sixth form reports, so you'll be able to see the number of lessons that your son or daughter is attending. This is a more useful measure than whole school attendance, which can obviously mask poor attendance to particular subjects. We know that students who are here more often do better, so good attendance underpins excellent progress. If your son or daughter is unwell and unable to come to school, or if there is a reason why they are unable to attend, it's important that the school is notified. Parents and carers can do this by ringing the absence line, or students can email and parents can email Miss Rose. Her details are on the end of this presentation. Once students are aged 18 or over, we do enable them to self-certify their absence, but we do track and make sure and monitor for patterns, and if we were at all concerned, we would still contact parents and carers in regards to that. Within the sixth form timetable, students do have flexi lessons or lessons where there are study periods, so we do ask that where possible appointments are made outside of lesson time, and certainly students should not be organising things like driving lessons in their study time, but they should be organised for the end of the school day. We do have a sixth form dress code. Students have turned up this year in Year 12 on the most part looking very, very smart indeed, and it's one of the privileges of sixth form to be able to dress in your own clothes. The underlying principle is business wear and smart dress, and the dress code can be found on the school website and in the student handbook as well, if you wanted to check any of the details. Your support with ensuring appropriate dress from home is very much appreciated. Skirt length seems to be the issue this year, so anything you can do to support the school at home when your son or daughter is purchasing their new clothes or wearing clothes for sixth form would be very much appreciated. We are strong believers in dressing smart means thinking smart, and certainly many of them have turned up looking the part, which is fantastic. So here you can see the breakdown of a typical Year 12 timetable. This one happens to be Year 13, but Year 12s look very similar. And on there you will see a variety of different codes. So students will have taught lessons, but they will also have independent and supervised study time, along with sitcom, which is a PSHE lesson, registration with their form tutors in the morning, and they can nominate some of their independent learning time as flexi. Of course, at the moment, being in the middle of the COVID pandemic, we have made some adjustments to the amount of flexis that students could take in order to be reasonable in terms of having students making unnecessary journeys into school. I have tried to prioritise keeping Year 12 students in school and allowed the Year 13 students perhaps a little more flexibility. Year 13 have proven themselves through the remote learning that they have accomplished that they are able to do that from home. And certainly I would very much like Year 12 to get into good habits and benefit from being in school and accessing the resources that we have here where possible. For a very few students, they might have a day where they don't have any taught lessons, and therefore we have made the adjustment that those students can take a home study day. I have said to the students that a drop in performance would mean that they would be very quickly accommodated back in school. So please do feel free to monitor that at home, and if you have any concerns about the home study days, then please let me know. Similarly, if you would like to talk through individually on a case-by-case basis when your son or daughter is in school or out of school, please do get in contact with us and we can discuss that on a more bespoke level. The difference between independent study and supervised study is that supervised study takes place in the library. The library environment has far fewer distractions than the study room, where students will spend their independent study, and it has access to Chromebooks and all the resources that they may need. The Year 12 and 13 students last year reported really enjoying the library study space. We have flexible seating, we have upstairs study pods in a silent space, and then we have tables downstairs for low-level chatter. It does really help students if they can spend a good proportion of their study time in that environment, and certainly planning for what they're going to try and accomplish in those study periods is a very helpful strategy. So how can you support learning as a parent and carer at home? Is it better to be hands-off? They're young adults now, or is it better to still have a grasp on how they're doing? Probably a little bit of both. It's very important that you talk to your sons and daughters about what they're learning, and not just about the content, but also about how they're learning. Powerful strategy is asking them to explain something to you that they have covered in a lesson. It might be something you know nothing about, but just them having to verbalise their learning can actually have a really powerful impact on them identifying areas where they may need to do a little more work. In terms of revision, it's not just about preparing for exams. Year 12 students should be starting to revise and recap and review right from the very start of their courses. This means they'll get into good habits in terms of writing revision notes and making sure that the information stays as fresh in their heads as possible. Students have obviously much greater independence and control over their learning, but if you can support them in getting into good study habits now, revision, when it comes in all its force, will be a much more enjoyable experience for them. Whilst there are not external exams in most subjects in Year 12, on some courses which are more modular, they will have some exams, but of course students are working on non-examined assessments or coursework elements, and they should be constantly revising really. The diagram on the slide compares a blocking approach where you might revise a topic for a long period of time all in one go and complete that topic versus an interleaving approach. The interleaving approach is better. It better replicates what students are asked to do in exams when they might be drawing on knowledge from lots of different topics within the same paper. So doing a small topic from one subject and then flipping very quickly to do something else, maybe in periods of 15-20 minutes at a time, actually is a better revision strategy. So just keep an eye on what your sons and daughters are doing at home in terms of their work, and there's a suggestion there that you can support in terms of using the interleaving approach. I talked at the beginning about the importance of development of character, and the enrichment programme is one way that we achieve that. Students on a Tuesday period 5 in Year 12 will participate in a range of sessions and activities which are designed to be both good for their physical, mental health, their social interaction, and hopefully just enjoyable, give them some skills perhaps that they didn't have before. We are teaching them some basic cooking skills. We are talking to them about how to look after their clothes and do their laundry. So do feel free as parents and carers to test out some of these newfound skills at home. The sessions are also designed to ensure that students have something valuable and extra to write in personal statements or in letters of application, which show that they've gone above and beyond and that they have interests beyond the curriculum. Community service is an expectation for students as well in Year 12. 10 hours per term is what is expected. Of course, at the moment it can be quite difficult to find usual opportunities. Lots of our students last year went into lower school lessons, which at the moment is not possible. But there are opportunities within school and of course outside of school where students can evidence their community service. Again, they may need your support in trying to find something suitable, and certainly they can come and talk to us in school if they've got ideas or if they need some support in finding something constructive to do.
So having just looked at enrichment and community service and talked about destinations as well, how do we manage to bring all that together and track what our students are doing? As a school, we invest in a platform called Unifrog, and students who have been in the school previously will already be familiar with this package, as all students from Year 7 right through to Year 13 will have logons and be able to use it. It's an online platform, so they can access it at home as well as at school, and it really comes into its own in the sixth form as we use it for researching routes through to universities. You can shortlist different courses, students can search for courses by entering the subjects that they currently study, or they can just flick through and look at videos explaining different career options and then work their way back from there, choosing courses that would enable them to access those careers. They can also look for courses at universities abroad, and they can search for apprenticeships as well. So it's really a one-stop shop for their next steps. They can also use it as an online record of achievement. They can keep records of all their skills, their activities, experiences, and where they have references from perhaps part-time employers, or where they collect certificates, they can store those in their locker, as it is called. Students can begin using Unifrog right from the start of Year 12, researching different paths and investing some time in reviewing the activities and resources there. There are some fantastic know-how guides on Unifrog, which guide students through how to write a CV, and there's a CV builder tool, right through to interview skills and ensuring that students are confident in terms of their presentation and oracy skills. So it's a really, really good resource. Parents can access this too, and very shortly within the first careers newsletter that will be circulated this term are the login details of how you can get a Unifrog profile. As a parent or carer, you won't be able to see your child's profile, but you'll be able to access it in the same way that students can. And of course, it will open up conversations at home about possible ideas for the future. In this presentation, I have given you, as parents and carers, a fair amount of information. Each day at school, your children get a lot of information as well, and they're juggling a lot of things. They've got a new workload. The transition from GCSE to A-level is significant, and they will take some time to settle into new work patterns and meeting the expectations of advanced level courses. Along with that, your children are starting to juggle perhaps a part-time job, possibility of driving, and navigating their way into adulthood. And all of those things together, along with the pressure of having to make some quite significant decisions this year, can take its toll. We talk to the students about good levels of stress, helpful levels of stress, and then perhaps being aware of when this might tip over into anxiety or become overwhelming. We're very keen that students ask us for support. They can obviously ask you at home as well. And if you or they feel that they need something extra to help manage difficult periods within the term or within the year, please do contact the child's form tutor. There is plenty of help on the John Colet website, so there's a link on the slide here to student wellbeing. If you search for that tab on the John Colet website, there's lots of connections to different agencies and different sources of information that can support good mental health. There's a self-guided CBT course, if students really feel that they need the next level of support up. We do have a school counsellor again this year, and students can refer themselves to the school counsellor if they feel that that would be a route that they would like to explore. One of the things that parents and carers can do at home is just reminding students about keeping a healthy diet, regular high quality sleep, hydration, exercise, taking a break from work, making sure that they're maintaining their social interactions as much as we're all able to at the moment, to manage their daily level of stress. We don't want students to work so hard that they cannot enjoy activities that they do for hobbies. It's all about a balance. So anything you can do to remind them of healthy habits at home, I think would be really worthwhile. Ultimately, we just want them to enjoy their time with us, and to make the most of their opportunities, and they can only do that if they feel healthy and happy. So we're almost at the end of the presentation. Just a couple of bits that I thought would be helpful to know. In the study room, we have a bank of 21 lockers which are reserved for the sixth form. We use a company to manage the lockers, and you're able to go online at the website on the screen, and you can choose the locker. You need to select the school, the year group, and then if you select sixth form common room, that will tell you how many lockers available and whether they're on the top, middle or bottom. When I checked last week, we still had 12 available. So there is a fee for those, but if you are a student who's going to be carrying heavy folders to and from, or certainly if you bring your own device to school and you would like somewhere safe and secure to keep it during the day, then a locker would be really recommended. Finally, here are the details that you will need to get in touch with any of the sixth form team. So you have the details there of our form tutors, myself and Miss Rose, who supervises the students in the library and will possibly be the first person to contact you if necessary. And then you've got also the details there of Mrs. Sinacor, Careers Coordinator. I've said previously that we will issue a half-termly sixth form newsletter, and that's one way in which we keep you updated throughout the year with opportunities and events that are going on. Please do communicate with us via email, or if you prefer to phone and speak to us, you can ring the main school office, and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can. Good homeschool communication is really important, and I do find generally that students perform much better if they are aware that home and school do communicate. We are all in this together to support the students as best we can. So please do not hesitate to get in touch with us if there's anything that you would like to know, or if there's information that you could share with us which would be helpful in helping us to support your son or daughter. You may still have questions at the end of this presentation. You are very welcome, if you're watching this on YouTube channel, to post those in the comments, or again you can email or contact me at school directly. If there are lots of questions that come up around the same things, then I will create a frequently asked questions handout, and I will make sure that's circulated to all parents so that everybody can benefit. If you have a particular individual question, then I'm very happy to get back to people personally. Thank you ever so much for your time listening to this presentation. Of course, the beauty of a virtual presentation is that you can watch it over and over again and go back and check any information that you would like to. I do very much hope that we'll get to meet face to face together very soon, so particularly I can introduce myself properly to our new parents. But I wish you all the very best, and thank you very much indeed for your attention.